What's up, y'all? I haven't made a video on here in a minute, and again, as known by the Sever the Bond YouTube cinematic universe, I am on multiple channels, on multiple platforms. Like, you just gotta fucking catch me, because I'm fucking everywhere. But I just wanted to just make this video just really quick. Not that I'm like actively covering the team. I just sometimes I gotta get my shit off, right? Sometimes I gotta get my shit off, and I wait for other channels to do it, and they never fucking do it, so I end up just having to be the nigga that does it. In terms of the Hawks, right? Can we just have a brief moment to address something that they just did like about an hour or two ago, probably when you're watching this or whatever. A lot of niggas are gonna roll their eyes at this and say it is nothing. I need y'all motherfuckers to know that it is indeed something. This nigga that they just traded for, David Roddy. Now, if I remember correctly from several drafts ago, this was that nigga who was, getting the Charles Barkley comparisons to where he's kind of like short and fat or whatever, but like he's a fucking bully and he can shoot and he can dribble and move with the ball and all that shit. He can play make on the low. Like, this motherfucker was a big deal at one point, and I completely forgot he existed. And the fact that we just got this nigga, like, that is fucking huge. As time goes on, it's the more and more that I start to really look at the roster and say, oh, these niggas cooking. Now, if anyone knows anything about good old Sever the Bond, you know the history that I have with Landry Fields. I see that goofy ass nigga as the guy that was sleeping on the couch with Jeremy Lin, and they were roommates and shit like that. Like, that's where I know that nigga from. So I can't take him very seriously as anything other than that goofy ass nigga on the Knicks. But so like, I sit in a strange world when it comes to my framing of him. It's like niggas that watched Degrassi back in the day who don't take Drake serious at all. Like, before the Kendrick shit. Like, I mean, just like, period. They see him as, oh, that's that nigga from Degrassi, right? I feel the same way about Ariana Grande. I see that motherfucker, I'm like, that's that nigga from Nickelodeon. I don't take her seriously as a pop star because, nigga, we seen you, right? That all being said, that motherfucker's cooking. And the more and more that I look at the roster and the subtractions and additions this summer, the more and more I'm like, oh, they're about to take the league by surprise. And no one's fucking talking about it. Let me explain. Obviously, DeJounte Murray being gone for basically Nathan is a lot. It's a lot, and I immediately hit the, knee-jerk John Collins button of here the fuck we go again. But then I started to look at shit. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be the one that's, commenting on did him and Trey work. Don't give a shit. It's old news. Who gives a fuck? That nigga's gone. Fuck him, right? But when you look at the team and you look at the roster as it is, now things are not set in stone. We're not even in fucking August yet. Like there's shit to be done, I'm sure. But we know Trey, right? We've thrown around the word heliocentric so much that the fucking white people on ESPN are using it, right? So like, we know what it is with Trey. You are telling me you not only gave him the #1 goddamn pick and a nigga that just needs someone to give him the ball where he needs it for him to be effective. We not only have somehow acquired I don't know, it might be too soon to say generational, but a really, really fucking good player in Jalen Johnson, who, again, just needs the ball in the right place to be effective. The supporting cast around Trey that is still here, from your Bogies to Hunter to, I mean, just like, those are the old school names. But I mean, just, y'all niggas know the depth of the team way more than I do. I can't name names, I apologize, but you know these niggas, right? These are all individuals that outside of Kobe, right, really benefit from having a motherfucker that can give them the ball in their spot to do their shit. And when you have a motherfucker that has the gravity of Trae Young, especially when all other teams are assuming that's really the only offensive options of a nigga that can go get a bucket on his own at will. We've only got one of them niggas. Most teams have 2 or 3. We've only got one. when those doubles come to him, and it's not like, oh, Tajante Murray's there too, so it's like we can kind of like have a scheme of like we like block off this side of the court and we make them, you know what I mean? It's just Trey. So having that type of defensive attention on him, on someone who I believe has been leading the league in assists or some shit like that for quite some time, or at least one of the top flight niggas that do it. Like, this nigga is Steve Nash, and we don't talk about it enough. This nigga is modern day Chris Paul, and we don't talk about it enough. And you gave him this nigga? Okay, I gotta look at his name again because I don't forgot it that fast. My fault. You gave them fucking David Roddy. Oh, shit. David ain't no goddamn joke, yo. You gotta understand. Now, again, if it was some nobody-ass nigga, I wouldn't have even made this video. But the fact that I'm making a video at all should tell you the severity of what's going on here. I remember the fucking draft coverage of this nigga. The second I fucking saw the deep dives on YouTube, I said, oh, it's that nigga. It's him. You gave this shit to Trey? Oh, God. Oh, God. That shit's not fair, dog. That shit. Man. What the Atlanta Hawks have done is we have successfully made the basically second version of those old school Phoenix Sun teams. Where you had fucking, was it like Grant Hill or some shit like that? Amari Stoudemire, Steve Nash, that nigga who had the really ugly jump shot and shit. Like, we have recreated that. Where Steve Nash just had fucking weapons. Nigga, Jalen Johnson might be the second coming of stat. Like, he's that fucking good. Trey been that nigga. And in a situation where we're not asking him to pretend like he's a fucking shooting guard, like, y'all want him to be Iverson so fucking bad, but like, this nigga's Steve Nash. Like, I need y'all to understand what Atlanta is doing. And you know what? Maybe it's best that it's a secret, right? Maybe it's best that the shit is a secret and niggas don't know. Maybe that's what we want, for niggas to not understand what the fuck is going on. Cool, we'll let it be a fucking surprise. But just for us to know, for actual full-time Hawks fans like y'all, and closeted ones like me, let's just make it known amongst us that the fucking Hawks right now are literally the second coming of the fucking 7 seconds or less D'Antoni ass fucking Steve Nash or Amari Stoudemire sons. And it is going to slaughter teams who are not going to see this shit coming. Who on paper are going to be looking at this shit and going off the fucking 2K ratings and not understand how skillfully built this fucking roster is. No, it is giving my Brooklyn coverage, but it's just insane how I'm watching two different teams under the radar become so goddamn balanced. But the Hawks are like significantly further along than Brooklyn, obviously. You're giving this generational ass talent more weapons. I hope David makes the cut. I really fucking do. Because that nigga is no joke. And you put him in a system where he's just off ball and he can be that switchable ass 2 through 4 if need be. And he's just got to move around and get open and occasionally get the like when Trey launches some shit from half court and this nigga David grabs the fucking brick off the backboard and puts the shit back up. Nigga, it's a wrap. Because either Trey cashes that shit or the fucking cleanup crew of interchangeable fucking wings and guards are putting the bitch back up or kicking it back out to him. And Trey's either going to hoist again, get that floater bullshit off, or he's going to lob that motherfucker to just fucking, like, I don't even know what we call the shit. Like, niggas will be flying around us where every great type of every great type of playmaking centric guard team you can think of. Lob City Clippers. I mean, like, we can go on for hours of those teams. Those teams. But where those teams failed is they didn't have Trey. They might have had a Jalen Johnson ass nigga. They might have had some cool role players and some niggas to hold it down on the paint, maybe. But them niggas ain't have Trey. Much respect to Chris Paul, that nigga ain't Trey. Much respect to Steve Nash, that nigga ain't Trey. Much respect to who the fuck is that nigga that was in Utah? Not Pistol P. Who the fuck is that nigga that was in Utah? White dude. Fuck. What was that nigga's name? What is that nigga's name? Hold on. Classic Utah. John Stockton. There we go. John Stockton, right? He wasn't fucking Trey. And niggas gotta understand this shit. It's a fucking rap. Like, remember when, like, Chauncey was on the Pistons, right? Give Chauncey this type of firepower. You obviously have to, kind of substitute a little bit. But Trey be playing defense. I'm over that fucking narrative that this nigga don't play D. Because even I see the shit, and I only get to watch, like, 5 fucking games a year. But even I see this nigga be playing D. So we gotta kill that fucking narrative, too. Normally, with the type of court vision and playmaking you get with a fucking Trey, you gotta sacrifice offense or defense or maybe both or some shit like that. Nigga, this motherfucker... I don't want to turn this into, like, me just, like, doing tricks on Trey or some shit like that. I mean, it's just like, I just don't feel like niggas understand what we have here. And I'm fine keeping it a secret, but... as I have said for years and years, and I've had some horrible takes. I said they were winning a championship last year. I understand. I've had some horrible ass takes. But if there is one thing that I have been consistently right on, it's that it's never the end of the world. And the simple fact of chin up, titties oot has been consistent over the fucking years. And I stand on that shit. I fucking stand on that shit. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'm happy as fuck. But are you?